Hello and what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another replay commentary. I'm going to be doing this game. It was game 2 between Virtus Pro and Team Liquid in Epicenter Moscow Season 2, and it is the playoffs. These are the first rounds. I believe these are elimination rounds, so the winner of this series did advance, and spoiler alert, if you guys don't want to hear this, don't mute your sound right now. Team Liquid did beat out Virtus Pro 2-1, I believe, and they will move ahead to play EG, I think, or LGDFY. I'm not so sure, but I'll look at the bracket later. That's irrelevant to what I'm going to be doing in this game right now, because I looked at the drafts. I did not watch this game at all, really. It was too late. I was sleeping when this game was going on. I did wake up and catch the game 3, and I thought this game was a little bit more interesting, not only because I didn't watch it at all, but because just looking at the drafts, it seemed like both teams kind of wanted to go for a similar playstyle in terms of trying to win the laning stage to the best of their ability and then snowballing for a fast timing push. And Team Liquid did end up getting ahead somehow, because they did win the game, of course, but we'll see exactly how. But right now I'm just going to do the draft analysis real quick here. As we see Virtus Pro, they're going to ban out Liquid's IO. Of course, they have GH God on that hero. It's just super annoying to deal with, can really lose you the laning stage early game, and after that, if you have a bad laning stage against IO, it can be super hard to recover, and that's why we see so many teams decide to just ban out in the first phase if there's any possibility of the enemy team picking it up. And that's just the common theme with the hero in general, where he always is the first ban, or sometimes he gets ignored depending on the meta, and then teams will just pick it up again, and then it'll end up being first ban again. And that's just the nature of the hero. And they're also going to ban out Kuroki's Tusk there. One thing to note, he's been performing really well in the hero at Epicenter, and that's going to be respect ban towards the captain Kuroki. As for Team Liquid, you look at the tiers they take out here, and it's Darkseer for Pasha, and the Night Stalker, something that has been run by a lot of teams in this tournament, and it allows you to have this night timing, 4 minutes, where you can play super aggressively, and you can just completely snowball the game off of what happens during that first night time. Even if you don't get the most done, it really puts the pressure on the enemy team for that 4 minutes where the nighttime does hit, and it either forces the enemy team into playing a lot more reserve in terms of having to group up and just like farm stacks together in the jungle, or just group up and push. So I like that ban there. Definitely can mess up with your timings if you're having a strategy that involves like playing aggressively at a certain time during that full 4 minutes of night. You really don't want to fight into the enemy team if you don't have to, pretty much. So I like that ban there, considering if you look at what Team Liquid are going to plan out here is a full timing based winning the lanes and then going for big pushes. And we'll see it coming ahead with the next 2 picks here, but they're going to start off with their 2 supports, Train Protector as well as the Keeper, and these supports are super annoying to deal with in terms of just holding the early game laning stage, because Treant, with the Treant armor, he can play very aggressively as well, come in and harass heroes with his very high base damage, and he can go for Obra Venom or whatever, and just be a big nuisance. Always will put pressure onto one lane or another. Can even roam mid and potentially put some ganks onto mid. And with the Keeper, he holds the lane, can get up some stacks, but most importantly is he will stop any pushes coming on from the enemy team early on in the game. And notice that Virtus Pro did respond to the Treant pick with the Jakiro here. I think that's a hero that's actually pretty good against Treant, because he can burn through the Treant armor very quickly on heroes as well as towers. He has a lot of damage over time abilities, such as his dual breath and his liquid fire, and in general it's a decent matchup against Treant head to head there. And so Liquid now with a 3rd pick, Earthshaker, a hero that has been run a lot now at Epicenter in a variety of positions, most notably off lane, but we did see him played mid by Smail in one game, and it definitely dominated that game, but that was against Ember Spear, and they had that strategy planned out where they just kind of wanted to, I think, was it OP they were playing against? That was IG, right? I forgot who. Never mind that. I actually forgot what EG's enemy team was in that game, or what their opponents were. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was IG. Enough about that. But yeah, the thing about Earthshaker is he's a hero that can get a lot done even without his Blink Dagger, right, from the offlane position. Is if you look at like other offlane heroes such as like a Magnus or I guess Axe would be another example, is they kind of need the Blink to initiate. But for Earthshaker, sit him in Fog, he gets his Fissure, and that's a way for your team to start a fight. And that is not required for him to have a Blink Dagger. And once he does get Blink, of course, he's going to be able to Blink Echo, and it opens up what he can do on the hero. But even before then, I mean, with that Fissure, you get a good block off as well, and you can start taking fights at that point. And here, I like what Virtus Pro are doing with the Chen pick. I think Treant as well as Keeper are supports that are pretty weak against a Chen. They have really no ways to deal with his creep. Of course, Kato later in the game, he will have the Illuminate to fend off the pushes, but in the early laning stage, like Treant, I'm sure you can try to man up and fight the creeps, but I mean, it's not really a winning battle, because just the way to think about Chen is, can your hero fight like a stacked camp, for example, in the jungle, right? And if the answer is no, most likely your supports will just get run over by Chen or Enchantress in that sense. And I mean, Keeper, I guess he can fight a stacked camp with a lot of levels up in Illuminate, but he has no stun or anything to keep the creeps away. He's pretty squishy as well. His move speed is okay, but if he ever gets got on top of by Chen and his creeps, he'll most likely go down. And same thing can be said for Chen, if Chen carries like a Dust or a Sentry or something like that. So I like this Chen pickup by Virtus Pro, but they are kind of pressured to get a lot done with him in the early game, because I did mention that later in the game he gets a lot less effective because the Illuminate from Kato, he gives extra keeps for Earthshaker to get a nice echo off, and in general, Chen right now is kind of a timing based hero, and if you don't completely dominate the early game and snowball that into a victory, you kind of feel a bit useless on the hero later in the game. And I like that some of the changes they made to him, lowering the cooldown on his Holy Persuasion so he can get a lot more creeps, make sure he can have a better early game, and even later in the game, make sure that he always has that off cooldown, he can grab creeps real quickly and bolster his ranks once again. And one thing I didn't note was both the Sand King pick as well as the True Warlord pick. I like to just say a little bit about them. Is Sand King is a versatile pick, can go in many roles at this point. It could either been a 4 position or offlane. Now it's pretty much cemented to be the offlaner as the Chen was picked up. And the True Warlord is something that Virtus Pro has been really liking, especially with Magnus, but it looks like they shied away from that. They're realizing that playing Magnus is actually losing them a couple of games because it's too slow. Most notably, the game yesterday they played against, what was it? EG. They got completely punished for their Magnus pick, or I'm not sure if it was yesterday, a couple days ago, or whatever. But they played against EG, and I did do the analysis on that one as well. That's why I remember it so clearly. But Magnus looked like a non-factor, so it looks like they're shying away from Magnus. They're getting a hero that can initiate without using a huge cooldown on his ultimate. I mean, the way they're using Magnus in the game against EG, they might as well have had Sand King, right? Because they're using one-man RPs. I'm sure it was getting them kills, but at the end of the day, they couldn't fight against EG. And so the drafts are going to end off here. Virtus Pro going to go with a Razor ban as the last ban here, and most notably, let's point out their second bans here in the second banning phase real quick before the draft ends. But they did ban out the Bristle, something that they were worried about that Liquid might do because they did have the Coddle, but they kind of forgot about the Lone Druid here. I don't think they forgot about it, but they were probably gonna expect that Liquid would pick this hero up because it's something that they've really liked on Tumble Man. They've played it in the previous patches as well, and now I feel like the hero is found his way back in the meta, albeit with a different build. You know, no longer that ranged form sniper build, but we'll have regular Lone Druid once again, and it works really well in this patch and how you want to time your pushes, get Roshans, and just snowball the game. And so the last pick for Virtus Pro will be an Spirit here, while for Liquid, it's going to be a hero that will help them with their timing push. A tanky mid hero doesn't need too much help, can easily receive help from his teammates in terms of TP rotations. It's not like a hero that will just die immediately before anyone can come and assist. For sure, the Kotal can TP and send a blast there, or a Treant with the Treant armor and the Leech Seed, and you might be able to turn on the gank. And he is still kind of susceptible to the Chen coming in because he is melee and he does have to walk up to the creep wave, and Ember does have a lot of ways to lock down the Dragon Knight as well as deal out the damage, because he does mostly magic damage based, especially in the early game against the high armor Dragon Knight. So doesn't really care about the armor at all. He'll work right through, and I still like how Team Liquid have this full generation of miracles profile pictures here. Got Aomine. Alright, look at that. The power of anime, guys. I don't know why he changed his name to Heen Elite. Alright, it is their coach, but I guess he thinks that Midorama, or whatever his name is, it looks like Heen a little bit there. So we're going to see the game start out right now as GH will TP out immediately, gets a ward down real quick, will not be spotted out. Lil will be spotted out, however, as Kuroki did TP to the safe lane just to scout out Lil, and Lil does not manage to get any ward off, and Kuroki does get his down. And he's pinging out right now, maybe thinking that Lil did place a ward, but I think if they clicked on him, you can see that he still has both of his wards. He's actually going to pass one off to the Jakiro, and so we're going to go with a bit of a, I would say, uncommon build, but you're going to go for a Null Talisman start Jakiro, something that you kind of see on other heroes like Skywrath and Bane, but it does work on Jakiro, I guess. Gives him a bigger mana pool so he can spam his Dual Breath. He didn't skill yet. Most likely he will skill Dual Breath, however.
30 seconds.
Miracle. Gonna go to the mid lane with Stout as well as the Quelling Blade. While it looks like GH actually maybe looking to start in the off lane here with Mind Control. They might go for some pulls. You can use Fissure to pull into this camp right here, and you can farm it up with the Illuminate, because Matama Man against the Sand King, decent matchup for Sand King. He'll get farm. Matama Man can't really zone him out that well, and his bear is going to take a lot of damage from the caustic as well if he doesn't micro it correctly. I'm sure Matama Man has played this matchup before, and he's ready to play this one-on-one with the Sand King. One thing that he does have to watch out for is potential ganks coming in from Lil, but I'm going to say that Matama Man will get more or less free farm in this safe lane, while we look at the rest of Team Liquid, and they're actually looking to play as an aggressive tri-lane, and this is a very strong lane with a big stun like the Fissure into Illuminate, as well as the Treant providing that very high damage as well from his auto attacks. It will be a rough lane for Virtus Pro, considering the Chen will be in the jungle. This will be a 3v2, and just look at Team Liquid right now. They're making sure that they're putting as much pressure onto Ramses as possible. They're spamming Fissure just for harass, and with the Kotal Chakra Magic, it's on such a low cooldown, and the fact that gives him mana as well, right? He will not have to spend his clarities, and he already has 3 clarities in his inventory here. And just look at this. They're just spamming Fissure. This is something we don't see too often anymore, where we see teams just utilizing this Kotal to play in this type of playstyle. We see it with Bristle, but yeah, even without the Bristle, we just did get banned out, so it was probably something that Liquid were thinking about with this Kotal pick, but they're like, if we don't get Bristle, just use Earthshaker, because this is a significant amount of damage. 110 damage, decent nuke, and of course it's a stun as well, so it allows them to lay in on him with the right clicks. They're going to hit the Illuminate here onto Ramses. He's down very low. He does get his salve off, but Fissure's coming up in 1 second. They need to catch him out though. They're going to go for deep dive. Fissure does hit, cancels his salve, but he will survive for now. If you look at Lil and what he's planning here, he did start up to the bottom jungle here real quick. He's going to go grab some bounty runes right now, and I think he wants to make some type of rotation soon. He hasn't really had any impact in the game yet. It's been 2 minutes, and Ramsey's having a horrible time in this top lane. Just open up the last hits real quick, and look, he is only 6 last hits in, and now solo. Gonna get blocked off by the Fissure, and he will go down for first blood. And this is a nasty lane for Liquid. And just the way they set this up, I mean, Virtus Pro picked Chen to win the early game, but he can't really do anything up here. I mean, he can send his creeps and try to make this a try, but the likeliness of that working out is pretty low, because with the Earthshaker, he can just fissure the creeps and the supports can run away. Because the thing is, like, let's say if the Kato was down here with the Lone Druid, who is doing not the best in this 1v1 lane, but he's holding his own. So yeah, just imagine the Kato was down here, and alright, so Ramsey's gonna die again, but just back to what I was trying to say here. Well, actually, I actually want to watch the mid lane. Alright, never mind. Miracle. Oh, no, he should be fine. Searing chains and once, yeah, it should be fine. So if the Kato was down here and the Treant was somewhere else, like maybe he was trying to snipe a courier, mess with the Chen or something, or just play how he is in the top lane right now, the Kato does put himself at risk of just dying to this Chen when he comes in with like 1 or 2 creeps. But the fact that Kato is up here with the rest of his team, that's one thing that you really have to pay attention to when you're setting up your lanes is what supports do we have and what do they do together, as well as what do they do with the hero in the lane itself, like the carry or the offlaner, right? And the thing with the Kato right now, he's not only allowing mind control just spam his fissure constantly, he's also protected by mind control, because let's say if Chen goes onto GH right now, fissure will come out, he can run away. He's a pretty fast hero. Same thing for Kuroki. If he gets caught out by a dust or anything, that fissure comes out, that's their save. Well, if you look at Matoma Man, I mean, sure, he does have a point in Savage Roar, but that's not nearly as good of a spell. It's not only a very high cooldown, but he really ideally wants to save it to protect himself. But if he's like sending his bear out to use the Savage Roar just to save the Kato, I mean, it's not as efficient as just having the fissure, not as good as having the fissure to make sure that the supports are okay. And the fact that they are in this top lane, they're not only pressuring Ramses, but they're making sure that Lil does not give them a hard time in this early game, which is something that I'd say that Virtus Pro really needs to have done to win this game. Because no matter how this laning stage goes, if Lil doesn't absolutely dominate it, and as long as Matoma gets decent farm in this bottom lane, which he is, in the mid lane, Miracle gets decent farm. And you look right now, he's actually losing pretty hard to no one 1v1, because I think the Ember matchup, which was picked as a counter pick to the Dragonite, matches fairly well against the DK. But at this point, he's still getting levels. His farm isn't the worst, and he's keeping right up there with Ramses, who's having a really bad lane. So I guess it's not the greatest in the world, but I mean, Dragonite, you get level 6, he's going to be able to push towers regardless of his items. Maybe it's going to be the difference between how much tank he has, or whether he gets gone on by gank if he gets bursted. We saw that when OG got knocked out of this tournament where they picked the Dragonite for Ana, they tried to play this timing-based push playstyle. They picked the Luna as well, and because Ana was getting focused and bursted, OG lost the game straight off of that. But if you look right now, Liquid are still looking just fine. The net worth is entirely even for both these teams, and it's gonna be the early to mid game after the 10-minute mark, because I feel like normally the first 10 minutes is really important, but for Liquid, that's not really the case, as long as they're doing what they're doing now. Getting experience out of the lanes, pressuring the lanes to the best of their ability, as well as getting as much as they can out of them, because that's just how timing-based lineups or pushing-based lineups are gonna work. You really need to just have a good first 10 minutes to get your core items up, core levels, and then after that, that's when you start making the plays, and that's going to determine whether you win or lose the game. Well, if you look at Virtus Pro, they are pretty reliant on getting a very good early game off, and then after that surviving the push coming out from Liquid. Because let's say that they do go for pushes themselves, they're not going to beat Liquid in terms of their pushing potential here. Sure, they have the Troll Warlord, they have the Liquid Flyer and a Chen, but you send a Kato or an Earthshaker back there to defend, send out some Fissures, send out some Illuminates, and suddenly Virtus Pro pushes over, while Miracle, like, look at the ways that Liquid have to stop, not Liquid, Virtus Pro have to stop Liquid from pushing. Miracle is going to hit on the tower, the Matoma is going to send his Baron with a Demolish, and tower will fall as they're doing the bottom lane right now. Looks like GH did get caught out here by no one, as well as Solo, I believe. But now Solo gonna get himself caught on the retreat. Solo did end up getting a kill, but he will trade a kill in return. And in the meantime, Miracle and Matoman were doing damage to the bottom tower. And look at Miracle, he's straight back in the mid lane, looking to do a bit of chip damage to it as well. So Liquid did feed a couple kills away to Virtus Pro, but it's really no big deal at this point. Thing about Mind Control is he's a little bit under leveled as I'm checking him out right now, so they want to try to prioritize him getting a bit more levels so that he can have his Echo. And he is going for the Max Fissure build that will make it not only do more damage but have more stun. You see some Earthshaker players opt for the Aftershock build, and he went for Treads as well, which is pretty interesting. I wonder what Mind Control is going for this, but or going for with this build, but we'll see. It gives him some extra tank. He can Tread swap the Coddle as well. It's not bad. I guess he feels like he just needs that extra tank because he doesn't really need mana boots because there's going to be a Coddle in the game, and with the Soul Ring that's kind of enough sustain. So between Tread swapping, having the extra tank, it will of course buff up his enchant totem damage as well, so and increase his farming to some extent because he did go for a Quelling Blade. So I don't think the build is bad, especially with the Coddle. I'm assuming that's what he's going to go for, but he's not going to go for anything weird after this. I'm gonna assume that he just gets Blink afterwards. Miracle was back in the mid lane here, and he eventually wants to work down this mid tower with his next dragon form, but at this point no one is putting his presence into the lane. Diving a little bit here onto Miracle, but Miracle gonna hit him with the Dragon Tail, and they're gonna just man up against each other on the tower, but it looks like no one will actually back away. But as he does that, the supports as well as the off lane are going to rotate in. Epicenter going to be used onto Kuroki. They will take him out. Now the Ice Path going to keep Pasha alive for now. He doesn't have enough mana for his Burrow Strike, and here comes the Dragon Tail. He's going to go down with the TP rotations coming in from GH as well as Mind Control. And this is Liquid's chance to start to deal a little bit of damage here to the mid tower. They know that Epicenter is down, and if you look at what Tomaman is doing, he's still farming up. He has his Midas right now. Virtus Pro did not really have the resources to shut him down, so if you look at Mind Controls, or Matomaman's farm, I mean, he's looking pretty good, and he's actually just going to find a courier kill for himself here as well. That's a big deal, and you look right now that Liquid do want to start to pressure into this mid tower, and of course any damage that Virtus Pro do to the tower, if they don't finish off the tower, it will be healed up by living armor, while every single bit of chip damage that Miracle puts onto these towers, it will not be repairable by Virtus Pro. So they do have the advantage there in terms of pushing. And now they're going to send all 4 heroes to the mid lane while GH is up top trying to fend off the push from Ramses. And here we might just see a teamfight break out as Mind are going to come in with the Epicenter or Echo Slam onto 2. But now the root from Chen keeping Miracle in place. He looks like he will go down here as his Dragon form ends. The bear is trying to block for him to the best of its ability, but Miracle will go down. Matoman gets himself away, gets his bear away as well, and he's going to Midas up real quick. So they do not get the mid tower. It was the catapult wave, but it came a little bit too late. If the catapult wave arrived a little bit sooner, they might have been able to get the tower, but the catapult did not reach the tower yet, and they take it down very low. But once again, it's irreparable damage. They lose Miracle, they lose Mind Control as well, but they did damage to the tower, and it's going to be in their favor as again, they have the option to heal the tower while Virtus Pro does not. And during this whole time, Ramses has found his way back into the game. If you look at his farm now, it's not looking bad at all, but now he's going to get his jungle keep stolen here by Coddle. What is English? And anyway, if you look at Lil right now, his farm is actually looking pretty good after that engagement. He did get 2 assists, and now he's gonna go back to base. Sadly, no courier, so he's gonna have to walk back to base right now to pick up his items. If you look at Pasha, how close is he to his blink? He will be right about there, and they're looking to pressure into this bottom lane as the catapult is pushing in here, and they should do a lot of damage to this tower potentially. The bear is actually going to be left back. I know the catapult actually ends up dying to the tower. They're going to send Solo in right now, but without the catapult, this tower is going to die a lot more slowly than it would have if the catapult was kept alive. I feel like Pasha should have tanked the tower a little bit to keep the catapult alive and let the creep wave come in, but I guess he was afraid if he tanked the tower too much, the TP rotations might come in from Liquid. Like, if they'd known that the Lone Druid had TP'd out here, they would have tanked the tower, make sure the catapult stayed alive for sure. But the fact that Bear was still there, they weren't sure what Liquid were planning, but Liquid definitely had the intention of just leaving the safe lane tower, letting it go, and as a result, they're going to be able to take the tower before Virtus Pro. It's going to be close, but it's going to just mean that Liquid going to get to this tier 2 that much faster. And just one thing to know about this game is how Miracle is playing right now. Building into drums, it's entirely timing based, and they're always pressuring a lane. If you look at what Miracle has been doing this game, he has not been jungling or just farming off on his own or doing anything like that. He's always pressuring a lane, pushing out some type of wave or pressuring a tower. And he did die once for it in the mid lane there, but it's well worth it as it's keeping Virtus Pro on their toes, not giving them downtime to farm or push or setting up pushes or anything like that. And look at Kuroki here, actually gets caught out in the back line, but no big deal. Epicenter was used there, and with a haste rune onto Miracle, they get themselves away. And so the tower does not go down, but once again, unhealable damage. The tower goes down very low, next push, or if creep waves were just allowed to hit the tower for a little bit, it will go down. And so that was Miracle's dragon form expended, and now he's going to go back and farm a little bit. And that's when he does farm. Right now you see him farming ancients here is when his dragon form is down. But every time it's up, he's setting up pushes with his team, and they want to start to run down lanes because they know that right now Virtus Pro don't really have the best answers to these pushes. And you look at how Miracle is building here. Straight into drums, going to provide him with that extra move speed as well as the attack speed aura, the drums buff for pushing towers, helping his team in team fights as well. And he's building straight into a hood just to make sure that he's as tanky as possible. One thing that is different between how Miracle is playing the hero right now than how Anna was playing him a couple days ago is that he is opting for these early game items. Who is this? Am I being added to? I don't know. He's opting for these early game items rather than an armlet or anything like that, and this is really focused around making sure they just push, get Roshan, snowball, and win the game. It doesn't provide Liquid with that much room for error, because if something goes wrong, Miracle dies too many times, or in general, like, if they lose team fights, like big team fights, this could be disastrous for Liquid, which is how Miracle is building right now. But as of now, they're looking good. It's 15 minutes in the game. They've taken 3 towers already. Top tower is already almost down, and they're going back for it here as they're actually going to commit the dragon form, get that kill into Pasha, and look where Miracle is headed, straight down the lane. And you look at Matoman, he gets ganked in the bottom lane, but Recall will barely manage to get him away to safety, and he's still very low, so he has to go back to base still, but he will survive that gank coming in from no one as well as Ramsey. Well played from him there. You look at Miracle, he's slowly making his way towards the tower. This tower will surely fall, and he has his hood in base as well. And look at GH, he actually gets caught up by Solo here. Pasha wants to come in, but his blink is still in cooldown, and Tomaman getting a kill. Where was the kill? Oh, Lil was here with his creeps. Where's Lil? That's unfortunate for him. I'm not sure what he was doing here. Looking like he wanted to pull the creep wave off the tower, maybe do something, and he gets spotted out by this ward placed by Kuroki. Kuroki did die for this ward, but well worth it, as ends up setting that kill up onto Lil. Surprised that wasn't dewarded there, but I guess they didn't expect it. They did kill him here, but did let him get that ward off, and they did not deward. And so now the top tower will go down once again. Dragon Tail or Dragon Form is on cooldown. And so Miracle gonna farm up a little bit, but just look at his itemization. He's going into a pipe actually. That will not just be a casual hood, that's a pipe for his team to make sure that they can push high ground against the Jakiro and the Sand King, as well as the Ember Spirit. It's all magic damage right now on the side of Virtus Pro, except for the Troll Warlord, but they have a lot of ways to stop him in right click game right now. Not only the Blinding Light giving him that missed chance, as well as Fissure blocking him off. They have the root as well from both the Treant as well as the Lone Druid. I'm getting a message. sorry about that, guys. But right now we're gonna see a team fight break out in the mid lane, as all 5 is gonna be rooted up by the Treant. Huge play there by Kuroki, and this is Virtus Pro attempting a push of their own, but you just see how Liquid have the defense potential with the Earthshaker, the Kato, as well as the Treant, and now they're gonna rout Virtus Pro. They're gonna lose 2 here, 2 cores most importantly here, both the Ember as well as Troll Warlord, and now we see GH come in here. He should get this kill into solo as well with the help of a Tumbleman. They need the Kato Blast. Oh, here's a raindrop, but he will go down to Miracle. And now all 4 are dead on the side of Virtus Pro, and you just see that Liquid's draft right now is just so more well equipped to group up and push in these type of scenarios as compared to Virtus Pro. If you look at net worth, Liquid are pretty far ahead at that point, but I mean, just with their itemization, every little bit of their net worth is being utilized in a way that will help them team fight Virtus Pro right now. Well, if you look at Virtus Pro, I mean, sure, they have a boosted travel from Ember. That's not going to help them other than give them a little bit of move speed in the fight. They had a mech there, as well as they blink onto the Sand King. I guess solo is pretty sad, doesn't have anything. You look at the Troll. The thing about Troll is, I mean, if you get him to late game, he is a monster, and he will just chain bash you, take Roshan very quickly, and that's something you always have to watch for. But in these early stages of the game, you look at Ramses, and it didn't seem like he was able to do anything in that fight. Between the blinding light, the roots, and all the damage coming out from Liquid, he was a non-factor in that fight. And they didn't do any damage to the tower at all, as it's all healed up, and that's just what happens when you're playing against a Treant Kato. If you don't really snowball in the early game, it just makes it impossible for you to set up any plays in terms of pushing, makes ganking difficult as well. And the fact that Liquid did decide to lane how they did with Kato as well as Treant and an aggressive tri-lane top, it pretty much secured both these heroes decent lane and made it really hard for Lil to find any plays on the map. Ideally, Lil was probably like, pick me Chen and I will dumpster this keeper, I'll mess up with this keeper. But the fact that they put the keeper top with the Earthshaker as well as the Treant, they kept all the supports as well as the offlane together. The fact that they were just a 3-man group, meaning that Lil couldn't do anything to them. He really couldn't pressure bottom. He did pressure Miracle a lot in the mid lane, but if you look at how Miracle's building right now, it doesn't seem like he cares. I mean, he's still pushing down lanes. He's building completely support oriented from this mid Dragonite position, and it's showing that Liquid want to end the game off with potentially the first Roshan. And that's just very troubling for Virtus Pro, because they're asking themselves right now, how are we going to survive? And this is going to be a start potentially, but no, look, you see 3 heroes here, or I guess 2, 3 if you include Chen's creeps, and technically he was there, but they can't even kill GH. Between the Force Staff and the Blinding Light, he pushes them all away and he gets out. That's 2v1, a 5-position support, or I guess 4 position at this point, but they can't kill him. Now Kuroki, he's gonna in turn catch solo in the mid lane here, and with the Fisher block, he has to walk all the way around. He's gonna get rooted, he will go down. Mega kill streak for Miracle, and that was a DD rune, and he has an Arcane rune as well. And look at his itemization afterwards. Now he's gonna straight into a Halberd to deal with this Troll Warlord, and once that hits, even with the BKB, Ramses, if he gets Halberded before the BKB, he's not going to be able to attack, and at that point his hero is literally doing nothing. So with that pickoff right on solo, they're going to go straight into Roshan, and I did say that Liquid are gearing up to end the game off of 1 Roshan here. Just between their itemization, if they get an Ags, they will win the game off of 1 Roshan. And just notice how GH was playing. He was off on his own here. He almost ended up dying, playing a little bit greedy, but I mean, he was confident that he can get himself out of any sticky situation as long as he wasn't getting 5-man gone on by the whole team. And even at that point, it's just space for his team, as it will give away Virtus Pro's positioning, as well as potentially allow them to set up any counter kills onto stragglers as they're trying to back away after a very deep gank into the enemy jungle. And we just see GH, and what he's prioritizing right now is just getting his Ags. Ags. They got Roshan, they got the Aegis onto, I believe, Tumbleman. Where did they give it to? Actually, they gave it to mind control to make sure that he can survive in the fight. If he goes down, he can play aggressively, respawn, get those fissures off. Look at his build as well. They are gearing up to end the game for sure right now. He went straight into the Hood of Defiance, and Liquid not going to mess around. GH still trying to farm his Ags. He's very nearly there, and it's going to hit right around the day timing as well in about 2 minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Liquid just group up and try to end the game right off of that. But first, there's this tier 2 tower in the bottom lane they need to still work through, and I'm assuming they're going to go for this and then attempt high ground afterwards. Right now, they're just farming out their lanes, getting their items, pushing out, farming. It's pretty split on the map, as they know that as long as they don't play too bold here, we saw that even the Coddle getting cut out by a Troll as well as a Sand King can survive. This is with their itemization right now. They always have the living armor as well, so they can afford to spread out a little bit here. If you look at Metalman's item progression, he has his Radiance out, and what is he flying out to him now? He will go for a Vlad's as well as the Coddle's Agnes is on the courier here. And just look at Liquid's position here right now. They're in the bottom lane. They're looking to push it all the way in. Notice that Miracle is actually top a little bit here to make sure that the lane doesn't get too far pushed in. Right now, with Miracle gone, Solo's going to push it and he will get the tower. But it's just them realizing the win condition right now that they have, and they are going to try to take it. And all it takes is really one fight, and something that wasn't really possible in the patches before 7.06, but this is something that we see the return of just because of multiple changes to the game, such as less shrines in the base, how Roshan gives the Aegis and Cheese on the second kill, and after that, even if they don't outright win the game off this push, they might get Rax first of all, they might lose the Aegis, but then they can just wait for the second one, and with the huge lead that they get from getting a Rax, and then afterwards getting an Aegis and Cheese, most likely you're going to be able to end the game off of it. Now we see the push here right as daytime hits with the Coddle Ags. All the damage dealt from the Jakiro as well as Ember Spirit, all that annoying chip damage from their spells will be able to heal right up by the Illuminate. And at this point, I feel like there's nothing that Pro can do. You look at Ramses, he's like, alright, this is my best play actually. This Rax is most likely just dead, and I will try to just split push and maybe go for a trade. Well, if you look at what's happening in the bottom lane, they go straight onto no one. He goes down, Lil goes down as well. Both of them have buyback, but they still can't stop. Notice one thing to note is that Pasha actually had a really big play there as he cut off the creep wave, not allowing the creeps to enter the base, so they will have to actually backdoor to the melee, but they still get the melee. They won't be able to get the range though, because now they're fighting through backdoor protection. Well, if you look at GH and Kurogi, they're here to deal with Ramses. His TP is still up. I'm not so sure why he's not using it right now. Well, if you look in the bottom lane, the buyback did come out from no one, but the fighting is continuing, and of course Mind Control is going down low, but he has the Aegis. Metal Man is about half HP as well. He has to watch himself, but he's very tanky on this bear. And now we see no one actually rotate in, and I still don't know what GH and Kuroki are doing here with Ramses. I guess they just want to keep him away. I actually don't know why he just didn't TP. Maybe he would have been able to fight bottom, but now we see Miracle gonna get recalled in by GH, and he's in a little bit of trouble here. Actually, he will burn all of no one's mana, and which is gonna prompt Lil to just send him back to base so they can regen. And now he will come back straight with the Remnant, and GH should go down here. He's keeping himself alive very well as he's timing those Illuminates and running straight through them. But you see in the backline here, Miracle, Matum Man, as well as Mind Control find a kill onto Ramses, and they also take out Lil. And now no one may be in a lot of trouble here. Nice stun there from Pasha, stopping the Earthshake from gonna stun onto no one. But now he's gonna get Dragon Tail down, and he will get focused. Good game's just gonna be called. Virtus Pro are done. They do not want to play this game anymore. They realize that without no one, they're not going to be able to defend the push coming in through mid, and it's inevitable mega creeps. And even afterwards, even if they do manage to hold somehow, it's still daytime for another 2 or 3 minutes, and at that point, Liquid can just regroup, push into the mid lane, and just end up winning the game with nothing they can do in response. So, well played there. I got an item. I don't know what that is about here. Fuck. That's weird. But anyway, well played by Liquid. And one thing to learn from this game is how Liquid set up the strategy from the beginning, and they made sure that their laning stage was secured. All they needed to do was put pressure onto Ramses to slow him down, and afterwards, just look how they ignored him afterwards and allowed him to come back, and they didn't care. They just made sure they had a slow start. It was not necessarily trying to shut him down, but most importantly, keeping the supports in a position where they're going to be useful and they're not going to get pressured too hard by Lil. And as soon as Lil stopped finding his effectiveness on the map at all with his creeps, he really couldn't do anything, because pushing simply wasn't an option against heroes like Kato and Chain Protector. It was just way too hard, and afterwards Virtus Pro just seemed like they had no chance in that game. It was just an easy game after that. Miracle building for full tank and helping out his team with auras, with the pipe, as well as the drums, and it was Matoma Man who's gonna get the Radiance out and just end the game. It was completely timing based. They're playing off of the Ag's timing onto the Keeper, the Radiance timing into Matoma Man, Aegis, and saw him walk straight down the mid lane, or bottom lane I mean, and just straight up end the game. 26 minutes. Pretty simple game for Team Liquid, and you just see how these push strategies are so viable now in this new patch, whereas before you wouldn't see teams try to attempt things like this. And it really goes down to good drafting, making sure you set up, and once again making sure that you don't make any big missteps, because if they give Virtus Pro a couple of fights, it's gonna be Ramses BKB coming online earlier. It's gonna allow them to team fight with no one and Pasha as well. But the fact that Liquid really didn't give anything away, they gave a couple of kills to Virtus Pro, but most of it was just one-off kills. It was never a kill that resulted into like Virtus Pro being able to push or take an objective, Roshan or a tower or anything like that. And it goes to show that Liquid were well disciplined in how they wanted to run the strategy, and it shone through, and they were able to just stomp Virtus Pro and win this game too. And so that's going to be it for the replay analysis and commentary. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's a little bit of a shorter one. I made sure I picked a shorter replay, and this just shows how you can work together as a team and get a timing push off. You saw Virtus Pro attempt to kind of do a little bit of the same thing, but they didn't go all in, right? They went back for the Ember to have a little bit of a better laning stage, but you saw that how that did not matter. So it's up to you whether to decide to go all in onto push, or maybe try to help out your lanes and win lanes. And it feels like Virtus Pro were kind of wishy-washy, where Liquid just went all in. We're gonna just go for the strategy, completely time based. We're gonna win at this time with these items, and it worked out, and they executed it well, and that's what happened. They won in 26 minutes. So see you guys in the next one. Hope to see more from Team Liquid at Epicenter. Maybe they make it their way through all the way to the grand finals. We'll see today actually, or tonight. But see you guys in the next one, and peace out.